welcome back to this session. And I'm CY Lu. I'm your facilitator for today. And today with us, we have an amazing panel. We have 7 people in this panel altogether, 4 on site, 3 online, right? So it's going to be very exciting. And the theme for today is we're going to talk about reshaping the future of work. And the session is the Asian Youth Entrepreneurship Exchange. So you'll be listening from a lot of the startup founders, opinion leaders from Asia. And they will be telling you what has changed and what will be changing for the future of work, starting from their entrepreneurship journey. And they will look into the future. And I hope this can also resonate with what you, all the questions that you have in mind, right? So as a beginning, I think for future of work, actually for work at the present, it has changed greatly for many of us. Actually, the work nature has been changing ever since we have this word work, right? But for the past 3 years, COVID has really has accelerated things, has slowed down things. And for work, we tend to think, okay, maybe it just means working from home. Maybe working from home is the future. But I think most of us will agree that after so many Zoom sessions, after so many without face-to-face sessions, we long for networking. We long for seeing each other, handshaking, right? And then we want to travel. We want to go to seminars. We want to go to new places, meet new people. And also when we were predicting that corporates they shut down their offices, they say, okay, every one of you can now start working at home. Then we see the tech companies in the US, what they've been doing recently. Come back to office. If you don't come back, you're fired, right? So the future of work may be, is it just about working from home? Is it about remote working? Probably not so much so. The future of work may also involve in the relationship between employees and employers. We tend to think that, okay, if we have Zoom, if we can all hide behind the monitor, the screens, things will be fine. Right? We can work like this, and then I can even have several jobs at one time. But that's probably not the case. We see efficiency lowered. We see people getting tired. We see the new generations of even students or employees. They don't know how to interact with each other, right? So the future of work, is it about hiding behind our screens? Or is it about more interaction? Is it about more caring for each other, right? Is it about pass on your heritage, your knowledge, right? Or is it just about yourself, right? There's so many questions that we have in our head about future of work, right? So, but today is not about me posting all these questions. It's actually for me to ask these questions to these amazing startup founders here and online, right? I think we will start by a very simple introduction from each one of them, right? Because they all have amazing startup journey, and they all have great stories to tell you why they pick this work as their life mission, and then what kind of difficulties they've encountered. So from the beginning, I will start. I will invite Mr. Juan Aprilliano, CHANDRA, to introduce himself and tell you a little more about his company, and maybe you also that will trigger you for the question later when you can ask him. Okay, so Juan, please.
Yeah, hello guys. Thank you so much for having me here. So I'm Juan from Plana, and today I will be presenting a little bit about the business that we have and what we are doing here. But for the first session of the presentation, my friend and my partner, Kenny Lukito, will be helping me. So please enjoy, and I hope that you guys can understand about my business.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Kenny. I'm the partner of our speakers, Juan Aprilliano. Apparently, I'm not going to be the main speaker, but I will present to you guys the opening presentation to explain a little bit about our organization, Plana. So first of all, I'm very honored to be in this event, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity given. So what is Plana about? Plana is a social enterprise that recognize plastic recycling. Our solution is to convert all kinds of waste to become new materials that can be used as buildings that last for decades. With your help, we can upgrade the idea of recycling to a point where it is impactful for the future of our planet. Plana did a mass production recycling process and manufacture with great quality. We recycle not by hoarding up, but by increasing the value of the waste. Next slide. There's certain reason why we did this, primarily because of the plastic pollution. Indonesia is the second most contributor of plastic waste around the world. Moreover, we could also save our jungle from wild deforestation. By substituting construction wood, we will lower the deforestation rate and provide a much sustainable option for the construction. Subsequently, Indonesia is an agrarian country that makes us one of the biggest rice husk producer country. Rather than burning the husk, we can alter it to become a much prominent HPC wood material. And finally, by buying the unused husk the farmers produced, we will also help to increase the welfare of our local farmers. Next slide. So, what solution can we offer? Plana wood, wood that is better than woods. Plana wood is made out of 60% husk, 30% plastic waste, and 10% additives. A decking of Plana wood itself contains 2.4 kilograms of plastic waste and 4.8 kilograms of husk. It's also applicable for both indoor and outdoor use, like ceiling, wall panel, deckings, and many more. Next slide. So this is our value and our advantages. Firstly is the recycle of plastic husk waste itself. We convert plastic waste and husk to become building materials that last for decades, transforming mountains of waste into an art of masterpiece, therefore reducing combustion of husk waste and plastic waste from environment. The second one is reducing deforestation. Most of people love the beauty of natural wood. However, if we use it for building materials, it means we contribute to deforestation. While preserving the beauty of natural wood, Plana wood doesn't use any wood at all. Our product is made out of husk and recycled plastic that are eco-friendly substitute of natural wood. And lastly, supporting our farmers. We are currently helping more than 100 farmers by buying their unused husk. By buying their husk, we reduce the carbon footprint from the combustion itself. For the last 5 years, we have reduced 400 tons of plastic waste, substituted 280,000 trees, utilized 880 tons of husk, and helped more than 100 local farmers in Indonesia. As I have mentioned before, we don't just recycle, we upcycle. That's why we strive to give our customers not only the best solution, but the best quality. Our product is capable of fully outdoor use and is anti-termite, anti-weather, waterproof, fire-resistant, easy to clean, and stronger than most woods available on the market. Next slide. Our activation have led us to many collaborations with some well-known brands such as CHANDRA, Asta, with the Fest Music Festival, AYEE, and Indo-Buildtech. Keep in mind we also use our zero waste factor wood. So we reuse our wood even though it has different models all the time, and we always recycle the remains of our Plana woods. Next. So this is a little sneak peek of our portfolio. Our products can be applied to various amount of creation like stairs, wall panels, ceiling, curved wood, etc. Next slide. This is also already this project. We collaborate with Sumarekon to supply one of their biggest shopping mall in Gading Serpong, Indonesia. Hyundai and Asta to supply their sustainable booth and campaign, and eco-friendly drop point at With the Fest Music Festival 2002. All right, that is all from me. Thank you so much for the time and attention. Now we will go to Juan Aprilliano as the speaker.
Okay, so that's it from us, guys. Thank you very much for listening, and yeah, we would love to have a discussion further after this with you guys.
Right, thank you very much, Juan. Thank you, and thank you very much for the presentation. That is really amazing that you're giving new life to the plastics, right? And then turning them into wood.
Yeah.
How nice that is. Okay, so now we're passing on to Prakash, right? Prakash, can you tell us more about your organization, your startup journey? Just tell us about yourself, okay? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me in this Social Enterprise Summit. I'm glad to be part of it. This is Vikas Gurung. I'm the president of Robotics Association of Nepal. Robotics Association of Nepal is a not-for-profit non-profit, non-governmental organization working for the development and promotion of robotics and automation here in Nepal since 2010. We have been working in the promotion of this robotics so that we can prepare a future for us and then prepare for the future of work. Next slide. So why did we start back in time? We saw that there is a lot of the passion among the Nepalese crowd. They want to build something, they have a skill sets, and there is so much of curiosity that how they can promote their skill sets so that they can also build tangible solutions. And we saw that there is a lack of the platform where this kind of enthusiasts can showcase their works or skill sets. And then we also saw that there's a huge lot of possibilities as industries were looking for this kind of talents. And then we thought, okay, if we can convert these passions into professionals, then that can be a great journey that we can build for these young entrepreneurs or young startups or young enthusiasts. Next slide. So how we started doing that is by organizing a lot of events or trainings or workshops. Back in time, like we started with robotics trainings on the new technologies like Arduinos or quadcopters or 3D printings, or a lot of them, AVR, Raspberry Pi. We introduced a lot of this technology here in Nepal since 2010. Next slide. As I said, like with that kind of workshops or trainings, it gave them a lot of confidence. And then we started opening up a lot of platforms like Miss Tech. It's for women who can, empower themselves by having the skill sets of these technologies. Yantra, Science Tech and Entrepreneurship Festival, where we organize national and international robotics competitions. Academic partnerships program with the colleges and schools where new generations can actually learn a lot of this skill sets and new tech. NASA International Space Lab challenges, a lot of this platform we created from back in time till now. Next slide. And then we also provided them the opportunity to get them exposed with the national platforms, national events, or national level of the competitions, such as drone-based competitions we organized, and we gave more than $7,500 to these startups, which is a huge amount for the startups in country like Nepal. Similarly, the events winners would eventually also get incubation programs through our partners, and then they can take forward their journey. Similarly, we invited international resource persons or international experts here in Nepal so that these young entrepreneurs could actually connect and learn from them. Definitely, as I said, we organize Yantra, so there's a huge prize pool which we give to these young robot makers, and they could actually scale up their robot skill sets or robot making knowledges. And eventually they are also producing a lot of these products which is actually being supplied to the Nepali market. So the next slide. So we how it connects to the future of work. We are preparing the next generation human resources here in Nepal so that they can actually build local solutions, solving the local problems, and that can also have a global impact. Definitely countries like Nepal has a lot of lack of resources, but when we prepare these human resources, they can actually solve the challenges that exist in the country, and definitely they can scale to the other countries as well. So what needs to be done to reshape the future? More support is needed. We are doing by ourselves. We are partnering with Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Nepal Academy of Science and Technology, private sector, FNCCI, so that they can get support. And we are also inspiring them by connecting them to the global platforms like First Global, where there's international robotics competitions. Similarly, World Economic Programs. We are also identifying these talents from all over the country. We have regional offices in different parts, and then connecting them to the direct into the global scale, And then one of the best way to also reshaping the future is to collaborate, and we are collaborating with national and international organizations. That's how I see this platform as an opportunity to also collaborate with fellow colleagues who could be our partners in soon in the future. We have been working together with Good City Foundation, Andre, who have made this possible to be part of this program. So I'm also, next slide, I'm really glad to be connected with all these young entrepreneurs in this platform. We are working for the sustainable future here in Nepal as well as for the world, because there's talent, there's new bodies, new makers, tinkerers who are here in Nepal needs to be recognized in all over the globe. And I think that's how the sustainable future of the world can be prepared. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vikash. Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation, introduction, and also start addressing how we reshape the future of work. Yeah, but that's not the answer yet. I'm going to give you more questions later on. Hang there. Okay, now next one, welcome Mo. Sawadee krap, Mo. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everybody.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, it's our pleasure. Yeah, and I mean, at least for me, I'm really hoping to see you in person in Thailand. Thailand is always a favorite place for me to go, and also same for many Hong Kong people. All right, so Mo, tell us more about your startup.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm gonna share my presentation real quick because I have a lot of pictures that I want to share in the talk. But my laptop is a little slow.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, maybe I can just do like a mini introduction first. So hi
Sure,
everybody,
yeah,
my name is Mo, and I'm based in Bangkok, but right now I'm in Berlin because we just started to scale our business. And yeah, so Eve contacted me like a few weeks ago saying that there's an opportunity to share more about what we do here. And then I thought it's going to be a good opportunity. That's why I say yes to it. It's currently like 9 in the morning at the moment. And yeah, I'm just really excited to share my journey with you guys. Okay. Can you guys see it?
No, we still can't see it yet.
Okay, yet. Maybe it's loading.
Well, while it's loading, you can keep talking.
Okay, cool. So I would like to take this opportunity to share with you about the future of work, in the sense that young people like us and other speakers just had a chance to speak previously, just take the issues that we care about into our hands and act by ourselves, regardless of whether it's going to be a crisis or a time that's not crisis specifically. But for us, it's going to be a story about how we basically flip the crisis of COVID-19 in Thailand into an opportunity for us to establish a new and a more sustainable food supply chain, not only just domestically, but also internationally as well. So this is us, Happy Grocers. I started Happy Grocers with my co-founder, Pearl, in March 2020. And the goal is basically to provide good food for people and also the planet, because we believe that sustainability should be convenient. Sustainability should be by default. And that's what we set out to do about 3 years ago. And this is a picture of us in our farm in Chiang Mai. So yeah, our journey started in March 2020 when we discovered that farmers that are friends with me on Facebook, they started to complain that they couldn't distribute the produce because of the lockdown. And at the same time, we found out that friends who live in the city of Bangkok found it hard to find grocery, especially fresh grocery that are not wrapped in plastics. So then when we found out that, okay, the crisis is happening and people around the world knows that, and also there's a demand for grocery delivery and also a supply that is looking for demand to match with, we decided to take this issue in our own hands. And I started a Facebook post, like one single Facebook post in my Facebook. And then what happened was that people started to order about 20 orders on the first day. And that's when we turned my business partners, Chala, which is like a 4 square meter space that you see in the middle picture, as our first headquarters for the first 9 months. And then we tried to visit as many farmers as we could to learn more about where food come from, to learn more about the stories behind all of the products. And basically we just delivered everything by ourselves. So I was the first delivery person of the company. Actually, me and my co-founder, she was first and I was second probably. But yeah, we just decided to try as fast as we can to validate if the assumption of people need fresh grocery that are for sustainable sources is true. And when this happened, is an opportunity for us to actually started to see that what goes wrong in the food system. And that's when we started to learn that in Thailand, one of the major reasons for deforestation is actually agriculture, because there's a huge, like out of the 10 million Thai farmers, about 99% of them are doing conventional agriculture, meaning they would clear huge piece of land, cut down lots of trees, and then basically just use a bunch of chemicals in terms of fertilizer and pesticide. And at one point, the soil would become dead, and then farmers have to move further out into the forest and cut down more trees to make more fertile soil. And that's when we discovered that our food system has such a big impact on the biodiversity of our environments and the animals that we love, and basically the lung of our planet. And that's when we started to ask ourselves one question of how do we create a food system that's not only fair for farmers, but also could take care of the environment at the same time. And that's when we started to hatch the idea of Happy Grocers that have the big vision to revolutionize Thailand food system of today. And yeah, that's when we started to create this channel of happygrocers.co, where we make it super easy for people to have access to not only just sustainably sourced and grown fruit and vegetable, but also organically raised animals, and also high welfare animal, cheese, tea, coffee. And we have about 400 different products at the moment, and it keeps growing. And also we have a bunch of other SMEs that also have the same vision to develop products like cheese or chocolate. And basically just make it easy for people to be able to access these products. So this is what it looks like if you order at Happy Grocers. So we come in a box, a smiley face, and you know exactly that every time this box arrives in your house, you know that you are being a part of something bigger than just you trying to feed yourself, but actually contributing to the future of food in Thailand, or creating a better, more sustainable supply chain. And yeah, we try as much as possible to not create any responsibility on our consumers to take care of their waste. That's why we have biodegradable packaging such as banana leaves or paper bag. And then we also have programs to take back our packaging as well. So that's one lovely thing that you can enjoy with the experience. Another channel that we are using to basically make this more accessible to people is something we call grocery truck, or the farmers market. The idea of this model actually started off from something that was a little funny. So basically, when we started Happy Grocer first version, right, in March, a month after that, Thailand started to have a more relaxed policy in terms of lockdown. So people started to go out, and then we started to observe that the sale that we had at the time reduced drastically. And the way that we acted is that, okay, let's analyze why is it that people don't buy anymore. And then it comes down to the fact that people want to pick things by hand, people want to meet their neighbors, people want to touch and feel and smell the fruit and vegetable. So when we got all these inputs, we discovered that, okay, what about we just serve them with farmers market right into their homes? So this grocery truck was born out of that crisis again. So yeah, it has become one of our major channel where people can really get to know us and know who we are about. We have about 20 locations in Bangkok at the moment. And we have such a huge plan to expand this as well next year. And yeah, a little bit of the impact of what we have done for the last 2 years. So we have managed to deliver over 260 tons of food from our farmers, and 70% of that are food that don't look perfect. So something that we advocate so much among our consumers is the fact that natural or organically grown food don't look perfect. And we rescue 70% of that to our platform so that people can be part of reducing food waste as well. Because usually imperfect products are thrown away even before they reach the supermarket. We have delivered over 20,000 deliveries and have managed to support our consumers to avoid over 200,000 pieces of plastic bags. And the most interesting part about this is that we jump into this opportunity with this ideal vision that, okay, we want to make a revolution, we want to change Thailand food system. But after 2 years, we managed to feed 1,000 people on a weekly basis with just 100 farmers. And that's when we have learned that one farmer has so much capacity, and maybe it makes sense to start exploring international market as well and not just domestic market if we would like to make change at scale. Also because once we discovered that one of the major player in Thailand food system owns about 22,000 supermarket and earned 3 billion last year, that's when we thought, okay, maybe competing directly with them is not something that we can achieve in a short time. And that's when we started to explore possibilities to diversify our market into the European market, starting with one single product for us to understand the landscape, which is coconuts. I'm pretty sure if you have been to Thailand, you probably have had an opportunity to taste our very yummy coconut water before. But yeah, so basically we started off with coconuts, started to understand from like the soil to the entire agriculture process around this plant in order for us to understand how can we leverage these plants to create the profit that we can leverage to support more farmers in Thailand to convert to organic. So that's the project that we started about 6 months ago. And then we basically bring this product to Europe. I'm right now in Berlin, and my business partner Pearl, she is in Frankfurt right now. And the reason that I really would love to share about this journey with you guys is because I think this is just a great statement that you can be young, you can be in the place where you might not have all the money in the world, but if you have the courage and if you really believe in your idea, then you can really get investors on board and you can really implement ideas like not just in your own community, but bigger than that, go international as well. But something that we also really mindful of is the fact that in every product that we developed, it's really important for us to look at the entire supply chain, see what makes sense, and also make sure it's carbon neutral. If you can see here, it might look like it has plastic packaging, but the reason for that is that, like I mentioned before, we are such a small startup. That's why we started to look at the process that would give us the competitive advantage in such a huge, very like competitive market of international export. We started to look into what would be the process that would enable us to deliver us fresh, like the freshest, the most natural, the highest nutrient of product to Europe. And then we found this process where we can use pressure to basically lock the quality of the products, and then we can ship that to Europe. This process requires us to use flexible packaging, which is PET. And that's why we choose Europe, because we are really confident with the recycling system in Germany. And then we really have to talk about, okay, if we can leverage this product by sending this to Germany and then create enough profit to support 1 million farmers by 2030 to convert to organic, then it's kind of offset each other. But first choice, like if I don't have to, I wouldn't use plastics, but we have done such a big life cycle analysis and look at the entire supply chain of how much of the impact this product can contribute back home, especially when our competitors are huge supermarket supply chain in Thailand. That's when we started to explore other possibilities as well. So yeah, just to recap, we are Happy Grocers. We are a Thai startup that are really set up to create a sustainable food supply chain in Thailand and basically make it more accessible for people to access products that are good for themselves, for people that they love, and for the planet as well. So yeah, if you are interested in learning more about what we do, you can go on happygrocer.co. We are on all of the social media, Instagram, Facebook, you can search Happy Grocers. Or if you are interested in maybe partnering or work together, you can also email me at hello@happygrocers.co. And yeah, I think that's it for me. Happy
Right.
grocers, good food for you and the world.
Yeah, thank you, Mo. Yeah, and don't worry about the plastic thing just yet, because I'm sure Juan's company might be able to solve that, right? So you might be able to collaborate. Okay, so I'll bring you back to
Yeah,
Hong
sure,
Kong.
for
I'll bring
sure.
you to Hong Kong right
I'll
now.
hit you up.
Yeah. Okay, you guys will definitely meet up. Right now, I'll bring you to Hong Kong. So the next one I want to invite is Anita. Right, Anita will tell us more about herself, about her startup, and then how she's going to change the future of life, of work, and life. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, CY, and thank you for having me in this event. And this is Anita. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Time to Gold. It's a social enterprise founded during COVID in Hong Kong. And okay, I'll see. Yes. So I got a few slides to briefly introduce my social enterprise. It's called Time to Gold. Actually, in Cantonese, gold stands for local traditional pastry. So it's kind of a play of words. And what we do, we try to achieve cultural preservation of local traditional dessert culture and women empowerment and elderly employment as well. So, similar to Mo, I actually founded this social enterprise during COVID times, and we established it in 2021. And what we do, we actually try to revitalize Hong Kong traditional cakes. I'm not sure if you're aware of, actually in Hong Kong, we got some kind of dessert called bột giấy go, some kind of glutinous rice cake and red pudding cake, sesame roll, etc. So these are some of the cakes that are listed as the intangible heritage in Hong Kong. We got a list, the official list by our government that recognizing these kind of local culture as very valuable history to Hong Kong. However, me and my partner, we observed that actually these kind of traditional valuable culture, they are fading in Hong Kong. The shops are closing down, and Hong Kong, the younger generation, we tend to go for Western cakes, cookies, or brownie, etc. But then these kind of local cakes, they are selling at a very low price and or selling by the hawkers on the street. So we are trying to give it a new image and new positioning to these kind of local traditional cakes. And right now we got 3 stores in Hong Kong and 20 something sales partnership in Hong Kong. And these are some of our products. So if you can see, we are trying to revitalize the local cakes through few aspects. First, we give them a new outlook. We are trying to reshape the old-fashioned outlook, a shape, a colorings of the cakes. And second, we are trying to use locally grown, freshly grown, organically grown ingredients from Hong Kong, local farm. And we are trying to make new flavors matching as well. For example, we got local desserts that's spicy, or even we can create a molten effect of our desserts and cakes. And we are trying to give them a new packing and rebrand the whole local dessert. And we got different events, bazaar, workshops with universities, banks, corporates, government bodies, etc. And for our workers, we actually hire those hawkers on the street in Hong Kong. If you are not if you're aware of Hong Kong culture, there's actually a lot of elderly hawkers on the street, especially in the new territories or in Tai O, Chang Chao, etc. So they sell those kind of pudding cake. They make those kind of pudding cakes at home and with a small trolley and push them to the MTR stations outside the banks and sell it. However, it's illegal in Hong Kong and it also creates food safety crisis. So we're trying to help these kind of elderly hawkers to get in the stores. We provide them with a food license, proper food manufacturing license, and we teach them the skills of food hygiene, how to properly manage the food, and we teach them how to do rebranding, revitalize the cakes, and marketing, packaging, and even some of our legal knowledge. So we are trying to provide them with a secure job with better income and a more secure, safe, and legal working environment. And at the same time, we are trying to give the traditional cakes a new image. And right now, the major customers of, I think the age group is around 20 to 35. So we want to give the new generation a taste of our Hong Kong local culture. And we are still a young team. We got a team. Oh, this is not updated yet, but I think we got a team of around 20, and they got a increased self-esteem, increased income, confidence, and more younger generations get a chance to taste Hong Kong traditional desserts. So some of the media interviews, and yeah, that's it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Anita. I'm actually getting hungry hearing after all that. Okay, right. So thank you very much. It's so I wasn't wrong. It's about your future of work is related to future of life. Sort of, right? Okay. So the next one I would invite Marian. Marian, please feel free share us about your life, your startup, and I heard you have a video to show us, right?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, great to be here and also share a bit about our story. So just to start off, got a few slides as well, I think.
Are the slides coming up?
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, just to share a bit about the problem we're trying to address, something that really caught my eye, and I guess a lot of us have heard about, is the number of big brands that still get, coverage in the media every day, every week about sustainability claims, which perhaps are misleading on products. So we all want to know as consumers, are the products that we're buying ethical or sustainable or not? And really, can we verify it? Is that data and information something we can trust? So I was stuck with this problem a few years ago. Originally, I was a consumer in the UK, and this factory collapsed in Bangladesh. It was a very famous news story. Over 1,000 workers died. And at the time, I didn't know anything about who made my clothes or where they came from. So I started researching and interviewing people in the field. I started a blog. I thought nobody would read it. Ended up kind of accidentally becoming a journalist and interviewing a lot of people in the field who were like working on this. But still from the UK, I felt like I couldn't find out the answers I really wanted. So I went out to Asia and visited factories. And after a while, I actually ended up working in a factory in China because I felt like the only way to truly understand, life as a factory worker was to literally sit in their shoes as myself. So I had to learn Chinese and sit on the line, and, literally sewing trousers with the workers is what got them to really trust me and open up and tell the real truth and situation about what was happening in the factory floor. And that's when we started experimenting with solutions about how we could capture this information from them and actually be able to show it to consumers on a product. So we experimented with all types of solutions. Some of them didn't go well, some of them went better than others. And now we've managed to create a solution that works with some global fashion brands in particular, but also beyond that, other apparel brands and factories as well. So the solution basically combines both technology and community. And rather than just launching an app or a technology, a key part of what makes our solution successful is that we build communities offline within factories as well. And we actually have factory workers who are like community representatives who go out and actually pitch the platform and get workers on board. Once workers do log in, they can access the web app, share updates about their mental health and any kind of issues at the factory, as well as learn about new topics and what, being happy at work means related to the panel. And then obviously we have the reporting, which factory managers and brands can use to actually reduce cost and increase revenue. So we all know what factories are motivated by, which is, reducing costs and increasing revenue. So rather than kind of purely pitching this as social impact, we're really trying to drive cost reduction from the factory by either reducing the cost of labor turnover, keeping staff for longer, which is a big issue in the manufacturing industry, and then actually helping those factories to get more clients who are looking for ethical and sustainable factories. So this is a quick snapshot from one of our clients, Decathlon, who featured us in their annual report recently about how we're helping to reduce risk across their supply chain by building continuous engagement. So we're trying to move beyond just like a one-off audit or a survey or an interview with a factory worker to actually reaching 100% of the workers 100% of the time and giving them access to this kind of channel. Some of the challenges we faced, like this particular case study, was launching in a rural cotton mill in India where workers didn't have access to a phone and weren't really very, tech savvy or kind of educated on concepts like this. So that's where this whole kind of community concept evolved of how do we teach and train workers in a language they understand. And that's where the whole idea came of workers, building community with other workers first before getting them on board the platform. So this is a quick video, if I have time, 40 seconds, to show you guys just, not from my perspective, but from the workers' perspective, how this has been helpful. Not sure if there's sound though, but I think there's, oh, now there is, yeah, thanks.
The process of textile runs around 365 days. So ultimately when the worker is not happy or not satisfied doing his work, so there won't be any high productivity or there won't be any critical business in the supply chain. To overcome that, workers should be highly satisfied. When they come to the factory, they should be confident that we are working in good place.
ओके आने से पहले हम मैनेजमेंट से बात करते थे पर ओपनली हमारे मन की जो बात है वो हम शेयर नहीं कर सकते। कुछ घबराहट रहती थी कि सर बड़े हैं हमसे या कुछ गलत हमसे बोला जाएगा तो पर नो के आने के बाद एकदम फ्रीडमली हम लोग अपनी फीलिंग्स जो है वो उनके साथ शेयर कर सकते हैं। इससे हमारे मन का जो डर है वो भी खत्म हो।
नो का बेस्ट पार्ट ये है कि यहाँ पे हमारा पंचिंग नंबर या नाम कहीं पे शो नहीं होगा तो हमारी प्राइवेसी बनी रहती है और हम अपनी मन की बात खुली तरीके से बता सकते हैं।
પેલા અમે ગભરાતા હતા વાત નહોતી કરી શકતા ડર લાગતો હતો કે અમે આ વાત કરી તો એ સાંભળશે કે થાશે કે નહીં થાય અને હવે અમે સાથે અમે એકબીજાથી વાત કરી શકીએ છીએ અને એનો પ્રોબ્લેમ પણ થઈ જાય છે સોલ્યુશન મળી જાય છે।
એની વાત એટલું છે કે ગમે ત્યારે ફેસ્ટિવલ હોય કે ગમે તે હોય તો એ અમને પૂછે છે અમને વિશ પણ કરે છે તમને પૂછે છે કે તમને કંપનીમાં કેવું લાગે છે તમે એ માહોલમાં રહી શકો છો કે તમને ગમે છે તમને શું પ્રોબ્લેમ પડે છે એ તમારું એ લોકો સોલ્યુશન કાઢે છે કે નથી કાઢતા તમે રજૂઆત કરી શકો છો કે નથી કરી શકતા એ બધું કેનોવાર અમને પૂછે છે એ સારું લાગે છે।
We believe that team and happiness, engagement and well-being is one of the priority and we expect our supply chain follow this culture. With the help of Nomo, we are getting feedback from the workers continuously from the ground level, which really helps us to improve the environment and improve the processes in a continuous manner.
It is nice to engage all the employees because this is the platform that people can share their ideas and people can share their views of what is the improvement of the company and what is their improvement. So it is mandatory. I think from my point of view, it is most essential to engage all the employees in this platform.
Yeah, so thank you, and keen to chat with anyone who has a supply chain or is involved in manufacturing and wants to engage their employees better. So yeah, look forward to meeting you all as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marian. Yeah, you have brought another topic on, because the future of work is not just about the work nature itself, it's also about the working environment, right, and the respect you get from the work, right? Okay, thank you. Next one I want to invite is Vince, right? I've known Vince for a very long time, and to be honest, the first time I visited his office, I saw nothing but games. So I was wondering what kind of work you do. Vince, tell us, yeah, what is your future of work or current work?
Hello, hi. Hello, 大家好. My name is Vince. I think while the slides are coming up, firstly, I know, Mo, you're in Berlin right now, so you're dealing with like a little bit of time difference and body clock. I just came back from the US like 2 days ago, so my body clock is like, it's 3 a.m. right now. So if I start appearing delirious, please pardon me. Marianne, if you could pass the clicker, please, that'd be great. All right. Yes, I have a lot of games at my office. This is what we do. We play and learn and grow. So I run an education company called, I gotta say this first. Hi, nice to meet everybody. And I run an education company called Press Start Academy. So I'm sure we're gonna talk a little bit more about the things that we do, but we like playing a lot. I wanna start off with this quote really quickly, because this is a quote that drives a lot of our work. So this is from Albert Einstein. Creativity is intelligence having fun. And this is very important because for the past 200 years, how the education system has been built is to focus on intelligence, right? We're excelling, we meant to excel and get good grades in school, academic performance, and so on and so forth. As we move into the 21st century, creativity is one of the skills that we are meant to develop to thrive in the new workplace, right? We're talking about future of work. So, fonts are all over the place. So this is what we need to develop now, creativity. And how do we do it? By having fun, woohoo! So, I mean, if Albert Einstein provides us the way forward, then, you know, I think he's a pretty good person to take advice from. So yes, so we imagine a world where skill-based education is the norm. What we mean by this is that right now in a lot of our classrooms, especially as we all know in Asia, there's a lot of rote learning and memorization. There's a lot of lecture-based teaching. What we want to focus on is to make sure that all of these 21st century skills are also embedded in the classroom and embedded in the curriculum as well. How we want to do it is we are trying to do what the UN has done with the Sustainable Development Goals, except with the 6 C's of 21st century skills. So the 6 C's being communication, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, citizenship, and character. You can see on the right side of the screen here, what we're trying to do is we're trying to break them down into skills, characteristics, and indicators across different age groups so that we can arrive at a common language and a common framework for us to look at these skills objectively. So what this means is we're turning qualitative input into quantitative insights. To me, this is an issue and a question of equity. Generally speaking, when we are looking at getting recommendations for schools, for jobs, generally speaking, this is a luxury that is afforded to the best and the brightest students, right? If we have middling students, we have average students who might not have found their passion, might not have found what they really enjoy doing yet. It's very hard for a teacher to be like, oh, I remember every single thing about every single student, and therefore I can write a very highly personalized recommendation for you to endorse your skills, which is what a lot of kids are trying to do with their extracurriculars and building their portfolios. And so by building a common language and building a shared database of skill evaluation and development, hopefully we'll be able to produce a lot of reports like this so that they are more aggregated. And this is an example of the reports that we put out at the end of our programs. So I talk a lot about what, you know, the skill side, the foundation side. Actually, how we deliver these is through games and through adventure stories and through narrative things. And this actually works out pretty well. I believe that kids are at their best when they're having fun, when they're immersed, having a good time. They're showing their full selves. And that gives us opportunities to make observations on what their strengths are at. And so that gives us a way to personalize their learning journeys the most. Right, that's why we have a lot of games at our office. Those are our inspirations, and we also develop a lot of games as well. That's what we do. So Play, Learn, Grow is our tagline. I'm excited to be here. This is a hard act to follow. A lot of really amazing projects and startups. So I'm here to play as well and to learn and grow and hopefully not fall asleep a little bit. So thank you, and I'll look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you, Vince. Don't worry, I always have my eyes on you. If you fall asleep, you doze off.
Please
That's
do,
a
please
different
do.
kind of game, okay?
Please do,
yes. So the next one I will invite is Richard. Richard, please tell us about your startup. I heard it's a hub, right? It's SDG Summit Hub. So it's probably more than one company, right? Tell us more about it.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to meet all of you here. It's really hard to come to Hong Kong from Beijing. And so I hope to share with you all experience and wisdom of social innovation in the mainland China. Let's introduce our enterprise and our innovation ecology, Shimmer. And our whole name is Shimmer SDGs Hub, and our aim is to empowering the next generation to make resilient decisions. We hope to provide sustainable decision-making actions to seek assistance for the generations of young people so as to create the next century of the peace. Okay, mainland China is currently facing the brand new structural problems with the slowdown of the economic growth, the trend of the anti-globalization, and the special pandemic response policies. The zero clean, and current economic mobility in the mainland China is gradually slowing down. It's a huge challenge for the employment and of the young people in the next generation of Chinese society, independent replacement of Chinese industry, and the development of high-tech and frontier technology. Among them, Chinese current original education system has been not able to allow the next generation to educated people to adapt the emerging changes in the social environment and even the economic environment. Therefore, in the 2021, China has published the double reduction policy, as we can see. And in the 2022, China has also published the new vocational education law, and to promote the balance between the vocational education system and the common education system. Let me introduce our ecology. We rely on our own ecologists, our charity foundation, and our independent research institute, and our social enterprise, including the Shimmer SDGs Hub. The foundation supporting us to fundraising and to make the impact investment. We accept investment from the enterprise, social organizations, and the government until to help students and talent in the field of vocational education to become workers who are more sustainable for the talented market, instead of spending a lot of time upgrading their academic qualifications, such as the bachelor degree or master degree. I don't think this is the better way for the most of the students in mainland China, because most of them, the family needs the money and need the quickly response over their own worker careers, I think. At the same time, we rely on fundraising of our foundation to carry out independent research to support the improvement of the status of young people to receiving the vocational education in the society and the change the public opinions of the recognized nation, I think. For example, the Chery Automobile is the most powerful automobile company in China. Currently, the development of the new energy vehicles is their key focus. However, due to the fact that China's vocational education system and schools is behind the needs of the industry in the terms of both the educational administration system. We have Chery Automobile fund 5 vocational colleges in Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces, and to connect them with the advanced curriculum system, which can help students obtain more cutting-edge practical skills and more higher salaries, I think. The relationship between our organization and the sustainable development goals is as a high quality education and the economic inclusive growth is the basic logic. On this basis, develop the high quality vocational education models to provide resilient and sustainable productivity transformation and the promotion solution for the society. The field covered including agriculture, clean energy, machinery manufacturing, and traditional handicrafts. Since our establishment in 2018, we have successfully accumulated more than 500 partners all around the world. We believe that the sustainable vocational education is the core prerequisite for building the sustainable development goals. We hope that through this sharing, we can expand our influence to help more people in mainland China, in Hong Kong, and in Macau to realize the decision-making ability of sustainable development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard. Thank you. Yeah, and thank you all the panelists and those online, those here for introducing themselves. So, okay, we have another hour to go in our session, and I'm going to do something more interesting, that's more interactive. That is the questions. So I'll do it this way. I will pick pick one panelist online and one offline, and then I will address the question. Then if any others want to chip in, just feel free to do so. Okay? So my first question is, what does the word work mean to you and your organization? Because just now I heard a lot of vocabs like empowerment, right? I also heard about reshaping future or this. So what does it mean to you, right? I would like to pose this question to Juan online first. Juan, what does work mean to you?
Okay. I've been thinking to answer this question for almost all day today because it's quite a hard question for me to find the answer for. But for me, the work in my company means that to make our farmers, especially the Indonesian farmers, to have a better life. Because I believe this is the first thing that I interpreted work means for our company. That I believe we can't eat every day because of this farm doing their hardest job for us. But at the end of the day, we know that the poverty in farmers' profession is quite high also in Indonesia. So by taking their waste, by taking their rice husk for us, I hope that it will lift their economic condition a little bit, and that is the first thing for us, what we are trying to do in our work. And also the second thing that I believe that we would love to do is to create a better future where a sustainable company that with a good sustainable value can become a big company also. Because if you see nowadays, a big company is also the company that's creating problem in our environment. Let's say the FMCG who creating a lot of plastic pollution, and also a huge development in for housing and also for civilization, also hurting our forests by taking their wood. So yeah, for me, to do for work means for us is that we can do better for other people that is quite a little bit less unlucky than us. And also, I hope that in the future we can give a better condition for our environment. Therefore, I hope that what we are doing with Plana can create these two conditions. Yeah, I hope that quite answered the question, Mr. Lee.
Oh yes, indeed. Yeah, thank you very much, Juan. Thank you, and your work is very meaningful. Well, and for those in Hong Kong, Vince, just to keep you awake, what does work mean to you? Not sleep, okay? Tell us.
Oh, it's on. Yeah. I guess my standard answer to this question is work is play. Yeah, I like playing. I guess, we spend a lot of time playing for inspiration. That's kind of the work that we do. I mean, we work in education, right? So the game design side, that's fun. The facilitation of the program. So we do a lot of after school programs as well right now with different schools. That's fun. But we will never lose our focus on what we're trying to do. And so if it is about making sure that providing an objective kind of language, shared language and framework around the 21st century skills, that's what kind of drives us. So the work can take different guises and different forms. So I know that's not a very good answer to your question.
Just sleepy.
Yeah, I'll just blame it on my jet lag, but that's it really does take on different forms at different times of the day, at different days of the week, depending on what we're working on, whether it's the design, whether it's the delivery.
Any other people want to chip in? Those online? Anyone wants to tell us about what you think about work?
Yeah, I can definitely add on
Vikash,
to
please.
it. I think work, it's about dedicating your time for the purpose or vision that you have set for yourself. Like, you always wake up and then you start getting yourself for the day. During the day, what you do is work for the vision that you have set for your company or yourself. And I think in terms of my organization, it's about completing the responsibility that we have as in Robotics Association, our responsibility to create a better platform for these young enthusiasts, makers, thinkers, also make an environment for the government to have a better skill sets, human resources. And I think work is always about making sure that you do right things. So I think work is about responsibility as well.
Okay, thank you, Bikash. So anyone else? No more? Okay, right.
Yeah, sure.
Mo?
I
Okay,
can
please.
say something.
You want to say something?
I think work for me, yeah,
please.
Yeah, work for me, I think I think having the freedom to have enough space for exploration so that we can grow as a person. I think that's the kind of culture that we are embedding in our company as well. And I think especially in Thailand, like I also kind of look at our company as like an example case of how much young people can do creating value for like the community or the cause that we care about. But I think the most important thing is to have enough room for failure, enough room for making mistakes, and then having this supporting community around us to be understanding of the fact that failure is actually a part of the longer journey and be supportive of that. So yeah, I think work is basically growth, personally and professionally for us. Yeah.
Work is growth. That sort of resonates what Vince is trying to do. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, okay. So sorry, Anita also.
Yeah, and I think for our social enterprise, work has an extra meaning of inclusion and especially social inclusion. Like take my organization as an example. My team, most of them are at their 70s. So actually the work for them is not just like making cakes, but is a very good opportunity for them to be included in the society. They got a chance to interact with other elderlies, and they got a chance to interact with the community, with the younger customers, and they find it very rewarding, and they got boosted self-esteem. And I think it's also a good way for them to actually ease some of the misunderstanding between intergenerational communication, because in Hong Kong, back then we got a term like intergenerational gap, that different generations got difficulties in understanding each other's needs, and there might even be hatred or some kind of negativity labeling among them. So to us, we think that by including our elderly team and working is actually a good chance for them to get into our community and society as an inclusion, social inclusion.
To mingle, to interact like a game. All right. Okay,
Yeah,
Marian, please.
Yeah, I'd add to that as well, actually, on top of inclusion, that I think work is about relationships, and I'm kind of learning this more as I go along, because I was reading something the other day that said, who does the average person spend most of their time with throughout their life? It's actually your colleagues, right? Even like your wife or your spouse, you spend, longer time over many years with them, but actually looking at it overall, the group of people you spend most time with is your colleagues. And a common, question I get a lot of the time is, oh, well, factory workers only care about pay, right? So they're not going to really care about any other factor about their work aside from pay. But our vision is to humanize the supply chain and actually appreciate some of those human factors we can't deny, which is that we are all social beings and we all exist to kind of live in relationships with others, and that's actually what makes our work more fulfilling. And even for factory workers, the top reasons they either leave or stay at a job, much like a lot of us, is because of the people. Either you're having an argument with your boss, or you prefer working with your friends down the road. And even if there's a fraction of a dollar in it for a worker to switch a job to another factory, they're way more likely to stay in that factory if they've got friends there, or if they have good communication with their colleagues. So I think a lot of our work, actually, more than I realized, is about relationship. And actually, having good relationship with your colleagues and also people you work with as well.
Thank you. So that has left us with Richard. I think everybody said something.
Yeah. I would like to mention a term that is close to the word work as labor. Yeah. In mainland China, there is a very special policy to develop labor education recently.
Yes.
The word labor is generally a philosophical interpretation in this words. I hope to explain the work from this perspective.
Okay.
Labor means engaging in activities at the level of productive value. So, which means that we need to use advanced tools to improve our efficiency. Such as Zoom, such as Dini and Tencent meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. And to reduce our cost and to improve our organizational structure. At the same time, I think the labor also means division and distribution, and how to balance these two things, I think, is a key point. To sum up, this is the first impression of this word.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. So I'm conscious of time, so let me move on to the next question. Many people think that COVID-19 has changed how people work. So is it true for your case? I ask these questions because being in Hong Kong, actually, a lot of the jobs, especially finance-related jobs, they don't find there's a big difference during COVID or pre-COVID, after COVID. They're always working in the same place. They're always trading from the same desk. So sometimes maybe for Hong Kong, right, for certain industries, COVID-19 does not change how they work. But what about for all these social entrepreneurs we have here today? I think you guys are very different. So anyone, just now I think I heard, Anita, you said you started your work. You actually started your company during COVID-19. So maybe you can share with us about how COVID-19 has changed, maybe how people work and how you work.
Actually, one of our major advocacy is women empowerment. So during the COVID-19 in Hong Kong, actually a lot of women cannot go to work and they have to quit the job because they have to take up the house caring responsibility, and due to the school stops, so they have to take care of the children. So however, they need money as well. So we are trying to provide some flexible working opportunities for these kind of elder mom and women, so that they can balance their domestic housework and child caring work, and at the same time to earn the income to support their families. But however, as COVID continues, we realize that it's really hard for us to operate a physical store because, as I just mentioned, we actually do food manufacturing. We produce desserts, which we have to pay rent for our food factory, for our kitchen, for our stores. But due to the COVID bans, people don't go out for dinners. You don't do window shopping, and the sales drops drastically for us. And another major source of income is our workshop and events. However, school stops, so but actually, like all of our income source, suddenly they all goes down and even goes to zero. And at that time, we I think the most serious is Hong Kong's fifth wave of COVID. So we are trying to figure out so what are the other alternatives? Because to us, running a social enterprise is a bit different with other normal commercial enterprise. We don't value profit maximization. So during these hard times, we actually would not put like cutting labor costs on our first like it won't pop up as our first solution. Yeah, like we can't cut our labor costs. We're trying to explore other income sources. So I think COVID is a good time for us to practice our crisis management and practice our creativity to find out other solution. And I think it's a really great challenge for us. But then during that time, we actually developed new products that is some kind of we got Western pancake mix and cake mix. However, there's never Chinese version of these kind of cake mix. So during that time, for our food factory, we use it to produce the new product that is a cake mix, however, in Chinese version, and which it can be shipped and delivered to households. You don't have to come out to buy, and it can be ordered online. And we even ship it to Australia and Canada and open up a brand new market of shipping local cultural products overseas. And I think if the sales performance is good, so and we successfully like passed the COVID difficult time. So sometimes hard times give us opportunity as well.
Yeah, so it's so it sounds like it's ups and downs in all this COVID time. And I've read a book. It's called "Obstacles is the Way." Maybe that is what it really means, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay. So for online, Mo, you also mentioned that you started your business. Is it similar to Anita? Can you share with us?
As in our journey starting business during the COVID?
Yes. And how has it affected your work, or has it affected other people's work? That's why you these opportunities and also challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, I think something that was really significant in our experience is how quick we jump into the opportunity when people are very confused. So I would say that, I mean, our business took off because of the COVID, because at that time, grocery delivery wasn't a thing yet. So we were actually one of the first people that started to really, really work on it. One thing that I think that was really like the advantage of that situation was because we actually started our business with zero money, and it only worked because it was during the crisis and everybody else was still in shock. So I think that was one of the biggest part of starting it during the crisis, because there was not that many noises that tried to compete with us just yet. So that makes our message really clear and loud as well about like supporting farmers, about connecting people to the farm. And yeah, and also I think pretty similar to what was just mentioned about being resilient and being flexible with the crisis and learn how to be crisis resistant. I think that's also really important, because I feel like, I mean, I always thought I have a lot of like flexibility and resiliency and stuff like that, but not until we had to work with COVID, because everything has to pivot so often and things are changing all the time. And I think one important skill that we have learned from that experience is the fact that we need to get comfortable with changes. We need to get comfortable with basically one thing, like one day you have all these amazing ideas and the next day you test it and wouldn't work and stuff like that. But I think the crisis kind of really primed the way we approach our business for us to be able to deal with any other future crisis as well. Mainly with the approach and the mindset of work, because I think that's something that we can apply in any situation. I think like to be resilient, to be flexible, to adapt to change at all times. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I think yeah, you experience you go online first, and then later on you have offline, those grocery trucks, the farmer carts, right? And then Anita is the other way around. You have offline store first, and then with COVID you pivoted to e-commerce, and then also delivery overseas. Yeah, they're both very interesting. I see another hand. Vince wants to speak about this.
Yeah, this is mostly just to make up for my really bad answer just now. So I see a lot of philosophical takes. I will offer a philosophical take as well. So I think as someone who runs an education company, obviously we've had to also think about how people learn, right? Not just how people work during COVID times. And that has actually been a fundamental shock to our system in terms of what is the best way to deliver a compelling learning experience online. And that's hard because a lot of times, online learning gets a bad rep. It's one person talking, and more often than not, it's like 40 people dialing in on Zoom, and no one has their cameras on, and so it's really dry and it's really boring, and it really sucks for the teacher as well, right? Imagine being the one who's delivering something to a classroom of people who you don't even know if they're there or not. So that actually has also been a really great catalyzing point for us to figure out how do you get students to turn on their cameras. That's the one sort of question. How do you get the students to interact? So you start from there, and it turns out that using games is really useful as a reference because games fundamentally are about making something fun and interactive, and you want to engage with that process. And so how do we borrow a lot of these principles from games to design learning experiences so that we can change the way people are engaging with their learning material, right? That is something that we're trying to answer. And actually, a lot of the lessons that we've learned also right now apply to offline learning too, because if you can make an interactive learning experience online, you can definitely do that for offline. And a counterpoint to what you're mentioning as well, in terms of how we work for our team, actually hasn't really changed that much. We're not going back to like everybody has to go back to the office, mostly because I don't enjoy going back to the office. I don't enjoy like being at a physical space from 9 to 6 every single day. I like flexibility. I feel like that's the future of work, is people should have autonomy over their schedules as much as possible. So we try to schedule meetings as outcome oriented. Like we're only gathering like twice a week for these sessions where there are explicit outcomes and objectives that we're trying to get to. These are the things that we want to get out, right? The rest of the time, I don't care when you're doing the stuff, as long as we're meeting our own timelines. And I think that is something that has really been kind of like a new practice for us. And I love it. Honestly, I love it because it gives me autonomy over my schedule. And so I can come to an event like this. As long as I get my stuff done, I'll probably be working until like 1 a.m. tonight, but that's okay because we get to manage according to our timelines and our outputs too.
Yeah, I mean, adopting gaming is really important because I think during those Zoom days where you don't see your students' face, they're probably playing games. They're playing game already. So why not just put it together into the education part? Okay, so the next question I want to get into is your work getting replaced by robots or other technologies, right? And if not, why not? So for this one, I think Bikash, I think you are ready for your organization. Tell us. Yeah.
Yes, like we are preparing for it. It definitely, like robot will be replacing humans in a lot of different terms. In terms of like hiring and firing as well, there will be software robots that will be there against the human. Like we may not need them because the data that are coming from the digital feed that will be eventually used to make robots. In some sorts, also the physical works, I think a human should be replaced to get more products, to get more solutions that are needed. Since we are limited and we have a limited resources with us, I think robots add value to us. My philosophical line is why human wants to build robot or robot will eventually replace human is like human brain actually want to explore the universe, and human can't do it on its own. They would need a device or a support system that will help them. So it's all about expanding the horizon of human. And I think robots will be the one that will help human achieve their dreams, curiosity of their brain. So yeah, definitely we should be preparing on how we will be replaced by the robots in our daily life, as well as all the works that we do. There are definitely separate lines or thin lines where like robot may not be able to work or intervene, but still robots will definitely be replacing humans in most of our work. Thank you.
Right, so Pikachu is pro for this replacement. Anyone beg to differ? Anyone, I think in your case, that technologies or robots is not replacing your job?
Well, I do see in manufacturing, obviously, like the clothing industry, which is where we do a lot of work. There is obviously, some automation happening and a lot of robots in the more like higher value economies. But what we are seeing is just a trend where production is still very reliant on people and it just moves to cheaper and cheaper locations. Which is one of the reasons why we kind of do what we do, because we're trying to almost inspire new economies that are, adopting manufacturing. And manufacturing very quickly becomes one of the biggest employers of a developing economy, purely because it starts out being very cheap to produce there. But we want to try and inspire those countries and say, okay, it doesn't have to be cheap and also mean bad conditions for the workers. There is a way of actually doing it where they're even more productive and more efficient because you're setting a different standard. And so we're trying to, I guess, follow that trend where there's certain industries which are still very reliant on manual labor and will almost continue to be, because automation is still too expensive for industries like that, especially if you want to produce like clothing at cheaper and cheaper quantities. It's easier to just go to a cheaper country. But what we're trying to do is almost help that trend still be a positive manufacturing industry for a new country and not have to mean poor standards.
I see. Okay. Vince, you?
Yeah. I don't know if anybody has heard of or seen like AI generated art. This thing is super cool. And so we're trying to play around with it, right? Just now, Prakash was mentioning about like robotics and automation being an inevitable wave of the future. Obviously, that's part of the reason why we are working on 21st century skills within the education system. And just now Richard was talking about productivity in labor, right? And so now when we're talking about AI generated art, why that is relevant to what we do is we design games, we design stories and adventures, and having to rely on hand-drawn arts for all of the scenes and all the characters is actually really, really resource intensive. So then it's a matter of how do we leverage the resources at our disposal to be able to create more compelling content at scale. Right? So AI generated art is super interesting. This is something that my team, my interns are teaching me about, and we're experiencing it because, and I was reading somewhere like the study or someone was putting out this thought piece that said like within 5-10 years, prompt writers for AI generated art will become one of the most sought after career paths. And I think that's true. Because then you're not only looking after the creation process, you're actually managing the creation process, and you're telling how the AI will generate the art so that it fits into your context, right? That is super interesting. And that's just something that we've been playing around with, and I'm trying to find boundaries and find ways that we can do this in a more ethical manner, so we're not just only replacing human labor, but what are the sort of confines, and can we set something as a potential like a guideline or a guidepost for how AI generated art is used within game design, within education, and so on. So hopefully we can check back in about a year or two. And
I was going to ask you, do you already have AI designing games for you?
Well, no, hopefully not. No, so here's the thing, right? People are saying that within a couple of years, AI will be able to generate movies.
Yeah.
And it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of time. right? And for sure, AI will be able to generate games. So what is our role as game designers, as learning designers, is the curation process and to understand set objectives, right? And set the frameworks for all of these things to be designed within. So that is a new skill that we need to all pick up. And obviously these are skills that we need to inspire in the students and new generations that we're teaching.
I see. Okay. Richard, you want to say something? Yeah.
What I wanted to express on this topic is that other technologies such as the robotics and artificial intelligence are in a supporting role in our society, I think. From developmental perspective, we develop the cutting edge technologies through the technical iterations to optimize our social development process. If certain types of the jobs are replaced on a large scale, I think there should be corresponding effective measures, such as vocational education, could help us as individuals to carry out work transformation, I think. And our social enterprise is to solve these social problems. A mature vocational education system in society should allow most people have a low-cost career optimization and solutions. So in the future, I think human rights don't need to worry too much about the technology replacement. It can promote our efficiency, but we should invest more resources in the social security for our education system, I think.
I see. Okay, thank you very much. We are running short on time, so I'll move on to the next question. Do you think the relationship between employees and employers will be closer or further apart in the future? I want to address this to Juan. Yeah, because your business is manufacturing related. So what do you think? The employers and employees, will they be like closer apart or closer or further apart in the future?
I think it will depend also on the leadership of the company also for me. But generally speaking, I think it will be further apart between the relationship between the employers and also the employees, because nowadays, even because of the COVID, it's even harder for me to meet our employers, because it's usually only on Zooms and on online meetings, and it's like what Vince say, like I'm kind of an old soul guy, so I feel disconnected when I do some sort of things online every time we want to have a meeting and stuff like that. So if we are talking about the future, I believe it will be further apart. But what I want to do with my company is, I hope that we can even become closer to each other, because I also learned from today's panel, especially from Marian, where it's also quite a fresh air for me, and also inspiring things that she's doing right now about her business, that I believe if we want to have a healthy team, we want to have the efficiency also, we want to have a good company that will run through crisis, we also need our employers who work for us, we need their sacrifice, because it's also what happened with my business that have been also through this pandemic. We need our team to sacrifice for us just a little bit. Not doesn't mean that I will cut down their salary, but maybe there in some other businesses there will be a late in terms of payment and stuff like that. So for me, the relationship between the employers and also the employees is very is not also a very important thing for us to make a great company that can through crisis. We are not only talking about efficiency, let's say. Like you guys already been talking about the robots and everything. I know that's the future of us, but when the robots, when you cannot pay for their energy and stuff, then they will never work for you. Then they will already off. They will be turned off. But for me, the humanity aside between our community in our work environment, it's another thing for us. We can have a personal close relation, and I already experienced a lot of our worker that has been sacrificing something for the company. And I think that's something for me. I hope that we as a young generation also not forget about this. Yeah, I think that's my answer for this question.
Thank you very much. So, Marion, would you like to say something about it?
Yeah, thanks. I'm also equally inspired by what everyone is doing, so it's a really great panel as well. But thanks, for the feedback. Would love to collaborate with more people here as well, actually. But yeah, I think for me, like the relationships will definitely be closer in terms of like the importance of that closeness. But to be honest, I don't know if we're doing a very good job at the moment of kind of providing that for employees. Because I think especially the highly skilled and talented type of people, which also I want to attract to work in our team, almost expect that. They expect that there will be a really close, bond almost between us really caring about them and their growth and what they want. And the super highly talented people will only work for you if they kind of see that, I think. And I think gradually we're realizing that, but really what are the solutions and the options and the things that we're doing? And as Juan pointed out as well, it's actually really hard to do this, especially in a world where maybe we're not connected physically, but just digitally. But that's where I think, as Vince said, maybe we can be more creative, more playful with how we try to make those online environments engaging. And that's part of what we try to do in the factory by building community, not only online, but also offline in a scalable way, and trying to bring that whole experience of community, which is actually quite complex to really create and measure, but something which I really think employees will expect. But there's a lot of progress to be done. Yeah.
What about Anita? You for your employee, you are an employer, and your employees tend to be older than you, and you have to reskill them, and also maybe age-wise they don't want to listen to you. What do you think about this relationship thing?
Yeah, so we have a huge age gap between me and my employees. So sometimes, like others may say that, okay, you don't have to be that close to them because most of them are not that educated, or they're old, they can't keep up with market trend, etc. But then for my case, like how I operate my enterprise, I think it's on the other way around. I deeply believe in mutual learning. So, and I believe that a good company atmosphere, good working environment, increasing the sense of belongings to my enterprise actually benefits my enterprise in the long run. And although I hire them, but then I like working with them. Like I visit like the different shops, I visit them daily, and I visit the kitchen, the sales shop front. I talk to each of them, and I want to make sure I'm well aware of what's happening on each role. And they actually got many great feedback that I can notice as I'm not in their role. So, and they got a lot of intangible knowledge and wisdom of the elderly that's actually not spoken, not written, not recorded. However, it has to be passed maybe on words, or they don't even know that, oh, this is a precious knowledge or pieces of information, not until when you talk to them. So I believe in communication, and I believe a close relationship actually benefits not just me, the company, and both of us, and you get to know more about what is happening inside your enterprise. And this is especially key when you're trying to preserve a culture, because culture is intangible. So it is only through communication that is something that is not written can be passed on.
So even though the age might be different, but through empathy, you can be closer.
Yeah,
right.
I hope so.
All right, then I will move on to the last questions for everybody, right? Okay, given what we've seen in the news recently, a lot of the big companies, those tech firms in US, they're all laying off people, and it's thousands, more than 10,000 of people. This kind of job used to be golden, right? And we used to think that they will never fire people. Right, we used to think that this is the best job in the world. Right? But this economic downturn is starting, layoffs are starting, and some people say that maybe in the future, the corporates won't be offering, they won't be the main job providers. And entrepreneurs, the future of work is entrepreneurship. Well, this is what I read somewhere in Forbes, yeah, I think a few months ago. What do you guys think? Whether the future of work is to think and work like an entrepreneur? What is your opinion on this? Anyone want to take it?
Yeah, maybe I can answer first.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So for me as an entrepreneur, there's some very distinct difference between a professional, or let's say a worker, and also an entrepreneur in terms of the. For me, when I have my own business, it's hard to tell my daily tasks every day that I believe. At the end of the day, I cannot tell what I have, what is my agenda for every day, because no one can tell me what to do each day. And as an entrepreneur, you need to find out the things that you have to do for your business to grow your business. So basically, for me, I quite agree with the statement, because if in terms of the competitiveness or about the threat from the robots and also the AI, I believe there is one thing that they are better than humans, where if you already design a work frame, if you already design a task to do, and it should be done daily, then it can be easily replaced by robots or AI. But for me, when you are working as an entrepreneur, the very different things is that you cannot tell what we need to do in terms of the 3 months of working, or maybe 1 year. That is something that we have to find as an entrepreneur. And that is what I'm experiencing also when I grow this business. At the first stage, I don't know what to do. I do it by my instinct, my business instinct. And I think that is the skill that we need to develop. That is the skill that we need to escalate as a human, if we are talking about the threat of AI also to change our works in the future. Because with that kind of mindset, we can become, let's say, the creation of something. Therefore, the AIs and the robots will not compete with us in terms of the working area and professionalism, but they will help us to achieve those vision. Yeah.
Yeah, I also like to add, definitely, I see that there's so much of opportunity when we talk about future of work. Working on this robotics association or robotics field, I see there's an opportunity in trading. I see there's an opportunity in education. I see an opportunity in product. I see an opportunity in innovation, which normally the traditional business leaders or tycoons are not seeing. Because I'm leading this domain, I see these kinds of opportunity, and my team are working on that as well. And there is a company that we are already forming, a Probity Group, which is a group of technology company. So which means that when we talk about future of work, and the people who are working for the future are already working on the future technologies, they will see the potential of these kinds of technology. Blockchain, the traditional business leaders won't see it. The one who are working on the blockchain technology would see the potential of it. As I mentioned, like robotics, I see a lot of them. We want to take robotics into the daily life. And when we are talking about taking the robotics into the daily life, it's not only about robots serving the foods or making the food, helping them in kitchen. So
hello. Oops.
Other purposes as well.
Right, Vikash, thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone in Hong Kong would like to respond to this question as well? Yeah, future of work, to think and work like an entrepreneur. Richard, please.
I think some of the characteristics of entrepreneur can be absorbed, but not all. Entrepreneurs have the ability to allocate resources and organize structures to a certain extent, which is the right that ordinary employees don't have, I think. But what is certain is that the continuous learning ability and the insensitivity of entrepreneurs are worth learning, I think. As an employee, you may face the pressure of the transformation at any time. With this time, with the frontier technology develops. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? What, Marion?
Yeah, I think it depends on, how you define entrepreneur, and there's different types of entrepreneurs, I think. So I meet people who run businesses and they've all started business for different reasons. Sometimes it's because they lost their job, or sometimes because they have this crazy vision that they want to go and execute. But ultimately, all of these big corporates started by an entrepreneur one day. But I do think there is going to be an increase in the number of entrepreneurs. And I was even surprised when I visited Vietnam recently and I spoke to some of the factory workers. A lot of them want to start their own businesses. And they just see factory work as a path to get there. And some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs I've ever met are actually people who started as factory workers and went on to own or run their own factory. Like a female entrepreneur I once met who lived in Myanmar, started out, beneath the poverty line, and worked her way up to actually running and owning and managing her own factory. And she's an example of a great entrepreneur. But it all depends, whether you see the Silicon Tech entrepreneur as an entirely different type of entrepreneur in my kind of mind. So maybe we're going to see more types of entrepreneurs as well as more entrepreneurs overall. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Anita?
I'd like to share, there's also an interesting observation in Hong Kong. Actually, the more educated you get in Hong Kong, the less likely you go on an entrepreneurship journey, especially when you're a fresh graduate. I graduated in HAU in Hong Kong, and I think 99% of my colleagues, of my classmates, they all get a decent job, and the risk for them to go on an entrepreneurship journey is rather high. So they prefer, like, why don't I serve as an employee? I can work and I can think of entrepreneurship maybe in the future when I accumulate, when I got savings. But then when you delay your plan, and eventually I don't see quite many of them really switch from working to starting their own business. So in Hong Kong, when you try to go on an entrepreneurship journey, the risk and the cost is quite high. And especially for social entrepreneurship, I think it's not that mature in Hong Kong, to be honest. The trend is going up, but then still not so comparable maybe to the Europe or other cities. And I think in Hong Kong, if you want to go on a social entrepreneurship journey, another difficulty is that there is no formal structured social entrepreneurship atmosphere. Like you won't call social enterprise as a sector, as an industry. It's not mature enough. And so how do you going to earn a living? You cannot, like, you want to create social impact, but then you have to balance the cruel truth of how to feed your employees, etc. So for university graduates in Hong Kong, I find it quite rare for young entrepreneur starting the social enterprise.
I see. Well, Vince, leads to you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I want to say I resonate really a lot with what Anita and also Marianne have said regarding university graduates not pursuing entrepreneurship. I have a big team of interns, and so once that line gets to almost graduating, then that's a different kind of conversation, right? And also for Marianne is I think we're thinking about, like, what is the definition of an entrepreneur, and I think this is we're talking about, like, working like an entrepreneur, not just working as an entrepreneur, right? I think that was the essence of the question. In fact, we run a lot of entrepreneurship workshops. We run a lot of entrepreneurship programs with middle school, high school students over Hong Kong. And I'm going to use one of the examples. We just finished almost a year-long climate entrepreneurs program. Now, a lot of times when we look at innovation entrepreneurship programs, a lot of the focus is on, oh, how great are your ideas? How innovative is it? Blah, blah, blah. And that's what those programs like stop at. It's like, oh, let's praise. Oh my God, this has the opportunity to become like a once in a lifetime like unicorn type of thing. I was very intentional about setting the expectations of the program to be like, I actually don't care how innovative your ideas are. I care that you execute something. Because that is the essence of entrepreneurship. And I think that also aligns, I hope, with what Marianne is saying. It's, you don't have to be a tech entrepreneur in like, you know, you don't have to always build the next Uber, right? You can run your own factory and you can provide a living for 1,000 employees. And that is probably more of an entrepreneur than someone who has built like, you know, what you know, a Silicon Valley type of company. And so, what are we asking our, you know, the students of that program to practice? It's problem solving, it's communication, it's stakeholder management, it's project planning, it's obviously there's idea generation, but say the winning team for that program was a team of Form 4 students who designed a series of eco tours. It's not the sexiest idea in the world. But what we were looking for and what I pushed them to do, the most important thing is don't just give us like, oh, we are going to design an eco tour going to this location or this location. It's like, if you want to execute, you know, the nitty gritty part of this idea is you got to come up with the itinerary. Like, I want to know when you're going on this thing, it's going to be 3 hours. You're going to meet at this point, and you're going to bring all these supplies to all the people that are participating in this eco tour, and you're going to have to get all the clearances, all the waivers, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to have all these supporting things that allow you to actually land an eco tour, right? And so, and as everybody who has been on any tour will know, that is what makes or breaks a tour, right? It's not how awesome the location is, it's the organization, it's the thought, and the depth of your program and how you plan it. That is what that entrepreneurship process is like, right? And so we are thinking about working like an entrepreneur, because in order to succeed as an entrepreneur, these are the elements that are sort of under the surface nobody really talks about, but these are the things that we're really doing on a day-to-day basis.
Getting
right?
things done.
You know, it's the nitty-gritty stuff, and that is the essence of that. And so, yeah, it's a leadership question. It's a culture question. It is also how you work type of question. And so, you know, whether you want to work in a big corporate or not, you know, if you have these skills,
or
then
government,
or government, yes, or nonprofit or a social enterprise. If you have these skills, you can kind of float between, you know, different sectors and different modes of work.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vince. So now I would like to open up to the floor and also online. Anyone has any questions for the panelists here online? Anyone? Don't be shy.
6 p.m. on Friday.
6 p.m. on Friday. Yeah. Happy hour coming up. So well, thank you very much for this. Maybe I'll just say something about what I have learned a lot today, indeed, from every one of you. Online here, Mo has to leave because she's in Berlin right now, but I also learned a lot from her. Okay, I probably didn't introduce myself a lot in the beginning. I'm from Start Me Up Hong Kong, so it's from Invest Hong Kong, a government department to promote foreign direct investment. And my team is a startup team in the government, so we are always pushing the boundaries of things that governments you know, already set up the frames, and then we're always trying out something new and getting scolded, getting rejected. Yeah, we're very, very much used to it. So my face skin is very thick. Yeah, I can say. Yeah, maybe that is also entrepreneurship. Yeah, what I'm saying is that you can always blame the environment. So okay, fine, it's government. We don't do things this way. I will just, you know, pack up and go after 5:45, right? No need to go to startup events. Don't need to understand what these clients are thinking. That's fine. I can do my job like this. But it's a choice. Entrepreneurship is also a choice that you do what you're passionate about, and then you dedicate your time, your resources to do it. So in this whole session, I learned a lot about potentially the future of work. Yeah, it's a flexibility, like Vince said, right? Flexibility in the way to learn, way to work, right? And also caring, right? I learned from Mariam, you know, employer, employee, the relationships. It's very important. In the division of labor, this thing that has been into our manufacturing process already. Sometimes we tend to feel that people are just, you know, one part of the whole process, but machine cannot replace us, right? Our iPhone still gets made by hands, for example, right? And then these are people with flesh and blood. So you have to treat them well. They need to earn respect. Oh, sorry. Yes. So you have to. People have to feel respected. And then, like Juan just now mentioned, sometimes if you have problems at work, then your employees will care for you, still get your job done. When machines, if you fail to pay the electricity bill, they shut down, right? No mercy at all. And we have also talked about whether robots, technology will replace work in the future, that end up we have no work. Maybe that's good. We don't need to work in the future. But actually, I asked my son about this. Hey, do you think you have work in the future? Then he said, no, Daddy, you know, we still have to eat. Yeah, he's 8 years old, by the way. He knows. Yeah, we have to do something. We want to, it's not just about earning the bread. It's also about self-actualization, also making a better world, right? So my take is that Bikash is like very pro. Yeah, I think that the machine will take over someday, right? For sure, that is the trend. But Vince mentioned that human is always on top of this. We're setting up the framework, right? And then we might let machines to help us, but we should always take the lead. Did I get you right? And are your games still being designed by you right now, or by AI?
How philosophical do you want to get?
Let me finish first. Okay, so a lot of things that we've learned today, the future of work, and there's just too many things I can wrap up. But I'm sure that later on, if anyone have any other questions, if you don't want to ask now, you can always approach the panelists, and then you can always, we guys will definitely mingle again. And for those online, those two entrepreneurs online, my department is Invest Hong Kong. So if you're interested in bringing your company to Hong Kong, feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, we're always here to help you and support you. I'm in the government, so I'm probably very far away from startup, right? And then probably I will never be a startup founder and a successful entrepreneur like you are. But I am committed that I will always be the strongest supporter of entrepreneurs, whether it's tech, non-tech, male, female, kids entrepreneurs, right? So that is my commitment to this. Right. Thank you very much today. Thank you. And I would like you to fill out an online questionnaire for the session later. There will be a QR code scanned here. Please help us. Please tell us what you think about our performance today and tell us about how we can do this better. And because we are entrepreneurs, we can take up challenges. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.